Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Melissa. Today I'll be demonstrating a relaxing face massage. This will be really helpful for anybody experiencing any kind of sinus affliction, and we'll be discussing ways to stay healthy during the cold and flu season. So this is designed for you to follow along with a partner. However, most of what I'm doing today can be easily modified so that you can do it on yourself. And so remember, a face massage, it will feel really relaxing, which is going to support your immune system, but also there's ways to give yourself relief from sinus pressure, sinus headaches, and to support your lymphatic drainage, all of which can be really helpful if you're starting to feel sick. So, what are some things, though, that you can do if you start feeling the cold or the flu or whatever kind of creeping up on you? You know, there's a lot that we can do, either to prevent illness from setting in or to reduce its duration. So we want to give our body everything that it needs to stay healthy. So what does the body need and what doesn't the body need? So if you're starting to feel that tickle in your throat or the fatigue, or even the aches and chills that sometimes come along with the flu, one of the number one things to do is to rest. You know, so do as little as possible. And if there is no give in your schedule, I recommend approaching your tasks and your to-do list as gently as possible. There's a saying, slow is steady and steady is fast. And so the more presence and intention we can bring into what we're doing and how we're doing it, the more opportunity we have to do something well, right? So, you know, if we're rushing, then it's easier to make mistakes, which leads to more expended energy. So if we're focused and intentional, we're more likely to get the job done right the first time. And, you know, we've all had days where how we're going about our tasks can be stressful or draining, right? If we're in our heads and scattered and trying to do a dozen things at once, you know, that's when things can start to go wrong and we start to potentially lose more energy. So anything you can do to make your work as efficient as possible, and be really honest with yourself. What's something that you can, you know, pare down, and with the focus being, you know, I need to get my work done, but I also need to rest. If we orient ourselves around those priorities, then it can be easier to make decisions. So one of the other top things we can do for ourselves if we're starting to feel an illness come on, is to give our body tons of good nutrition. So the flip side to this is limiting, reducing, or avoiding foods that cause inflammation and are hard to process. So even if your body can tolerate refined and processed foods like white flour and dairy and corn syrup, there's little to no nutrition in that food. And so, the body in a sense is then simply wasting its energy trying to digest it because there's nothing in there for it to absorb. And sugar especially, is very compromising to the immune system. And so perhaps how this could apply to your life is you choose healthier sugars like fruits, or just a higher quality sugar, or perhaps you can choose to eat a little less sugar. All of these suggestions, like say if going cold turkey on sugar is going to stress you to the max, then that's also going to be detrimental to staving off an illness. And you might have better results by focusing your time and energy on, supplements or making a really delicious batch of soup. And that mindset of working with where you're at is a really great filter that can protect your energy, right? Because we're looking for the most effective results with the most minimal amount of effort, especially when we're starting to feel a little bit run down, right? And so if, a suggestion that I'm making is not going to fit your lifestyle, if it just doesn't work with where you're at, or it's going to cause you more stress or to lose energy, then it's not the right suggestion for you. What the right suggestions for you will give you the most benefit with the most minimal amount of exertion. And let's just have a note on rest. Watching TV can be restful, but is 8 hours of Netflix restful? I would say not, right? You want to use or maybe 3 days of all day Netflix. You want to give your mind a break, right? And so that might mean being slightly bored. We want to do less and lessen our stimulation in order to conserve the body's energy. So if you're having sinus issues, these pressure points on the eyebrow, specifically here, here, and here, can be really helpful. All right, so going back to supporting our immune systems when we start to feel sick. We're resting, and now we're talking about nutrition. So whole foods, you want to make sure that you're giving your body plenty of good food. So planning meals, packing healthy snacks. We definitely want to avoid getting really hungry, because that's just really stressful on the body. So it's stressful in a physical way where your blood sugar starts to become unbalanced and your cells start to feel, the anxiety of death because they don't know when their next meal is coming from, right? You might know, but your body might not know, which can lead to that spike in stress hormones and that stress response. So eating whole, healthy foods that are easy to digest, like soups, stocks, broths, juices, and cooked foods, cooked grains, steamed vegetables. You want to go for, light and easily digested, right? So fried foods, not as easily digestible as steamed or sauteed. Using supplementation, so a good greens supplement, a whole foods or food-based multivitamin, your classic, just regular nutritional foundation, essential fatty acids, multivitamin, and an antioxidant. It's also really important to stay hydrated. And so this is where like those emergency packets, or some of there's lots of different electrolyte, mineral balancing, like powdered drinks. And so I think those can be really helpful at this stage because you're usually getting a good dose of vitamin C. And in addition, the electrolytes and minerals will help your body stay hydrated, because hydration is more than just having enough fluid. You need to have the right balance of minerals so that that fluid can make its way into your cells. And so part of hydration at this point means reducing our use of caffeine if possible. Coffee's going to be a pretty harsh diuretic. Actually, so can tea. But again, if you're going to die without caffeine, that, we don't want to upset the system too much. And so again, try to lessen or reduce when you can. Maybe do tea instead of coffee. And honestly, since you're trying to rest more, it really, it's okay if you're a little bit more sleepy. Hopefully it is. If you really do need the caffeine, consider yerba mate or matcha. So these are caffeinated plants. Yerba mate is an herb from South America. It's in addition to having caffeine, it's very much a vitality booster. And then matcha is simply powdered green tea, and it has one of the highest antioxidant contents of any superfood. And in addition, its caffeine delivery system is different than coffee, and so it helps you stay more calmly alert rather than having that, the jolt and the crash of coffee anyways. And if you're, coffee is something that you really love, if you've considered trying adding healthy fats like grass-fed butter and coconut oil, that can help to stabilize your energy, which, again, anything we can do to avoid that blood sugar crash, that adrenaline crash, right? We want to keep our system as steady as possible. Right? So like if we eat a whole bunch of junk food, or if we get really stressed and do a whole lot of activity, those are all things that are bringing our system out of balance, which is totally fine, because when we're healthy, the body's main job is to, maintain homeostasis or come back into balance. And so, while normally it's really easy for us to come back into balance after a big move, whether it's our blood sugar or, being really active and putting a lot of energy into something. When we're sick, there's less leeway, right? There's fewer resources to bring ourselves back into balance. And it's also easier for our bodies to go out of balance, So that's why we just need to think slower and gently, slower and more gently. right? Because the less energy our body has to expend bringing us back into balance, the more energy it has to fight off that infection. You're literally at war at this point, right? Because that bacteria or virus, it wants to eat you alive. But thankfully we have so many tools at our fingertips, even taking a deep breath. Helps the body come into a state of healing. A relaxed jaw indicates a relaxed body. And our jaw muscle often holds a lot of emotional tension and stress, which is one of the final things to address when we start getting sick. Is what is stressing you out right now? What big emotions do you have? Have you been really angry or really scared or really sad? Having a healthy outlet for those emotions, whether that's journaling or having a good cry or working out, taking feelings or situations to a yoga practice. As long as that workout or physical activity is, leaves you with some battery charge, right? You don't want to deplete yourself, which there can be some subconscious tendencies to push ourselves past our limits, especially if we're feeling frustrated or angry and that anger is turning inward, that can come out unconsciously, and just simple things like maybe just pushing a little too hard or being a little self-critical, none of which are, supporting our immune system, but which are also understandable, right? Because we are more sensitive and slightly more vulnerable when our bodies are fighting things off. And so, one of those catch-22s, even as it's most important that we avoid really intense emotions, we're also more vulnerable to them when we're fighting something off. And so journaling can be a really effective way. If you have a therapist, talk to them, or maybe even ask a friend if you can vent to their voicemail. Those are just a few techniques to move that emotional energy. And acupuncture is, I think, really effective at moving that subtle energy because, emotions are people too, or rather, your emotions are real things. They're electrical signals and hormones, and they happen inside of us. And so even if we are adept at ignoring or shifting our focus away from our feelings, our body is still feeling the effect of those emotions. There have been some neuroscientific studies showing that repressing an emotion doesn't change the activation in our emotional center, and even in some cases can increase the activation. And so what that means is that repressing our emotions, it doesn't work, and it can also sometimes make those emotions more intense. And remember, you don't necessarily need to process with another person. You can, as long as you're expressing safely by yourself, there's lots of ways to move that energy on your own, because, sometimes involving the other person is less than productive. And if you can move your energy on your own, then you're in that much better of a place to, go back to your partner or your friend or your coworker, whoever it is you're having, conflict or problems with. All right, my loves, I hope that this video was helpful and nourishing to you, and that this information helps keep you healthy. Please check out my other immune videos in this series. I also have a DIY immune and allergy reflexology video that a lot of people have found to be really helpful. All right, loves, take it easy, be gentle and kind to yourself, and I will see you again very soon.
Hey patrons, it's Karina and Missy. Hello.
Hey patrons, this is Jess.
Hey Mom.
It is Greek Goddess Hour continued.
And we are here with an exciting update for you.
Going to be more interactive, more communication, more connection, so that we can offer you more of what you want to see.
It's like the most frustrating thing. You're like, God, this video is going so great, and then the camera dies. All right, patrons, so I just want to show y'all my perspective here. All right, let's do your city.
You're choosing us over Netflix, or? Right. I wouldn't even choose us over Netflix. No, that's not true. Feeling pretty lucky.
And what we want to do is become more connected with you.
So thank you so much.